She gave detectives matched the crime scene down to the message they found written on a wall in blood. They only deciphered 2 letters, F and R, but she completed the puzzle, confessing she had written the word freedom.
Harold was well regarded in his local community, respected. But when news broke of his appalling behavior towards 18-year-old Sarah McLinn, it sent shockwaves through the town. Unbeknownst to him, the young woman he manipulated was on the brink of a violent retaliation, and the predator soon became the prey. So, who exactly is Harold Sasko? What did he do to Sarah Gonzalez McLinn? How did she respond to his relentless pressure? And what was her ultimate fate? One morning, the employees of a pizza restaurant showed up for their shift, but something was off. The restaurant was still locked and the lights were off. The franchise owner, Hal, who usually arrived early to open the place, was nowhere to be found. The employees were concerned since Hal hadn't been in contact for several days. Worried, they decided to call the police for a welfare check. When the police arrived at Hal's house, they knocked on the door, but there was no answer. They peeked through a window and saw a body lying on the floor. The officers immediately broke in and confirmed that it was Hal. He was dead. Hal was a 51-year-old man who owned the pizza franchise. He had a history of being friendly with his employees, sometimes too friendly. One of his former employees, Sarah, had been going through a rough time. She was 17 when her parents started splitting up, and she fell into a deep depression. Hal heard about her troubles and reached out to her, offering a place to stay. Sarah, feeling lost and vulnerable, accepted Hal's offer and moved into his house. At first, it seemed like a good arrangement. Hal acted like a caring father figure. He provided her with a place to stay, alcohol, and even drugs. He wanted to make her feel better and promised to help her get her life back on track. He even offered to pay $6,000 for a nose job she had always wanted. To Sarah, it seemed like a dream come true. However, things took a dark turn after 6 months. Hal confessed to Sarah that he had romantic feelings for her. He told her that since she was now 18, he felt it was appropriate to pursue a relationship with her. Sarah was horrified and immediately rejected him, but Hal was persistent. He kept trying to win her over, making advances that she continuously turned down. Hal's persistence soon turned into threats. He told Sarah that if she didn't comply with his desires, he would kick her out of his house. Sarah had nowhere else to go, so she felt trapped. One night, in a state of desperation and fear, she got blackout drunk and gave in to Hal's demands. From then on, Hal used Sarah's vulnerable position to manipulate her further. He told her she needed to pay rent and reimburse him for all the expenses he had covered: food, gas, cell phone bills, car repairs, her dog's vet bills, and the $6,000 nose job. Sarah barely made enough money to cover these costs, so she felt she had no choice but to continue the coerced relationship. Hal's abuse didn't stop there. He took Sarah's paychecks, leaving her with no money of her own. He belittled her constantly, but the doctor they went to refused because Sarah was too young. Determined, Hal then opted for her to get butt implants, costing around $11,000. Sarah didn't really want them, but she felt she had no choice. Hal insisted she pay him back for the surgery, which meant more coerced encounters. Hal bragged to his friends about his relationship with Sarah, boasting about being with an 18-year-old. This only added to Sarah's distress. The abuse and manipulation took a severe toll on her mental health. She felt trapped and like a caged animal, filled with rage and desperation. In a moment of madness, she bought a rabbit from a local pet store and killed it with a knife, hoping it would help her vent her emotions. It didn't. After 10 months of living under Hal's control, Sarah finally snapped. One night, she decided she couldn't take it anymore and planned to kill Hal. She crushed sleeping pills into his beer and waited for him to drink it. An hour later, Hal passed out. Sarah then zip-tied his wrists and ankles. With a large hunting knife, she killed him right there in his house. For the first time in a long while, Sarah felt a sense of freedom. She used Hal's blood to write "freedom" on the wall. She then stole Hal's car and drove to Florida, wanting to see the ocean one last time before she was caught. Sarah enjoyed her brief taste of freedom. She visited the ocean and tried to make the most of her time. But after 11 days, the police caught up with her. She was arrested and taken back to face justice. In court, Sarah was charged with first-degree murder. She took a plea deal and was sentenced to a minimum of 50 years in prison. However, due to various factors, her sentence was later reduced to 25 years. Sarah's story became well known, a tragic tale of manipulation, abuse, and desperate actions, and it highlighted the importance of seeking help and support in times of need.